Oh, of course, technical difficulties right when I start because I'm looking through Nerdist for last minute news, and of course it loads a trailer I can't escape from. But hey, I can hear myself now. But I love swap meets or basically anywhere I can save money on collectibles. There's a store that's closing called Coconuts, which is like an offshoot side project of FYE, and they're closing to make way for FYE in the same shopping center, which is weird. I guess they don't like competing with themselves, even though they both make money. Anyway, so they're they're basically trying to wholesale the store, and because they're basically like FYE. They have like the vinyls. They have I don't think they have comic books, but they have like vinyl figures, vinyl records, clothing, pop vinyls, which I guess is kind of a given. You're not a true collectible store unless you have pop vinyls all over the fucking place. But they also have the vinyl idols, the vinyl sugar vinyls all over the place, and they were 50 to 60% off. So I got three of the four Ghostbusters, and I got it's like a foot tall big vinyl sculpture of Rocket Raccoon. And they were all like 60% off. I'm waiting for they have a 2 foot tall group sculpture too, and I want to get him so I can pair him with Rocket, of course. But I'm waiting to see if they discount it even more because they have almost 10 of them in stock, and I really want to see if I can get the price below $20, which isn't bad for an $80 plus sculpture. So that's always a cool resource for getting collectibles.
Oh yeah, it sounds good.
But
Just don't.
swap meets especially because you just there's no cost. You just bring in something and someone likes it. It's like, hey, I like that, and you just it's a mutual thing usually.
Yeah, it sounds like a really good deal. I just don't wait too long.
Yeah, yeah. I'm playing that game. Their last day is the 28th, and but like I waited a week to get Rocket, and they dropped the price 10% more. So I'm thinking if I wait till about Wednesday or Thursday, and and drop back in, maybe they'll have it drop to like 70% off, which would push it right under that $20 threshold, and then it's mine. It's interesting because. And this is interesting because I don't know if Vinyl Sugar is owned by Pop. I know in their Instagram and Twitter feed, like when they're teasing stuff, they always show the Vinyl Idol stuff. I don't know if they're just pals or if they're part of the same company. But everybody when they think of vinyl collectibles outside of Japan, they think of Funko and Pop figures. So I went in there, and there's like the left wall of the store is full of the vinyl idols, the vinyl vixens, which are like the bombshells of Catwoman and Batgirl, and they have all those. But like the front of the store and then the right wall is nothing but Pop vinyls. And I went in there yesterday, and like that side of the store on the right looked like it had been ransacked by survivalists during Walking Dead. And then the left side with the more expensive vinyl ones like was untouched. And I don't know if that's because people were cheapskates like me and we're all going to buy them at once, or if like Pops because Pops are Pops, like people collect those and don't even think about like the other options.
It could be.
Yeah.
I know. For me, even the pops are kind of a. I have to be pretty attached to the pops to get it.
Definitely.
In order to get, if I decide I'm going to grab one, it's usually has to be pretty special.
Yeah, definitely. Because if you just blindly buy them and collect them, I mean, for one, it's a never-ending journey, and for two, that's a really easy way, even on sale, to run through a paycheck.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
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 But yeah, I feel you in that. I picked up two Pops yesterday, and one was Vault Boy from Fallout, and the other was the Crimson Corsair from Force Awakens. Who I have a Boba Fett like attachment, I feel, coming on because he's just so damn cool looking. I saw him in the visual dictionary. He's got like the you'll see him if you watch the bar scene. He's got the I think he's one of the guys Finn tries to leave with. He's got like the red helmet with like the wings, but he has like a blaster rifle that's got like a shoulder bone for the stock and stuff like that. Like he's just so cool looking. Anyway, I was looking through there and I just randomly found him as a pop vinyl. I'm like, I've got to have that one. So half price or 60% off. So fine, why not?
I haven't seen that one yet. It must be.
It was apparently they got it in a shipment right before they put everything on sale because it's like brand spanking new. It's in the, of course, obviously the Force Awakens line, but it's got like old Akbar. It's got a bunch of the bar characters. It's got of course Kylo Ren and Phasma were released before Christmas. But apparently this is like the Wave 2. And then Hasbro announced a bunch of, people were complaining about, where's Rey, where are the Rey action figures, the Rey stuff, and Hasbro just announced a whole slew of Rey stuff coming out too, including my personal favorite is Force Awakens nesting dolls. Like the babushkas, but
Yes.
they're all the main characters. You can only get them at Disney stores, which kind of sucks because the one in Birmingham, like 5 miles away, closed right before Christmas. So I've got to find an excuse to either go to Nashville or Atlanta some point in the future because those things are probably going to sell out quickly. But they're just so random and cool. I mean, babushka dolls from Force Awakens, but Rey everything. They have a Nerf gun of Rey's pistol. They have one of my friends just tweeted a picture of you remember the old Star Wars costume sets in the '90s. They have a Rey. They have a Rey one. I don't know if they have any others because that was all Dimwell retweeted, but it's pretty cool seeing that Rey is getting massive representation in the second wave because I think the reason they wanted to keep her under wraps was because of the massive, of course, the massive spoiler because Finn, of course, was the red herring, like he was the guy destined to be a Jedi in all the ads, and then come to find out that's not really true. It's really Rey's story, not his. So I think I think now that cat's out of the bag, they're feeling more freedom to make Rey toys and Rey stuff, and that's always a good thing.
Well, and speaking of, if you remember the Monopoly game, who owns Monopoly? Is that for sure?
That is a good question. Who has a monopoly on Monopoly?
They just announced that there's going to be a new Monopoly.
Hasbro.
Yeah, with Rey. So anybody who had the version that didn't have Rey, that's going to be an instant collector's item right there.
Yeah, because it's it's rare, but it's rare to re-release something so quickly. Yeah.
So
And I remember them doing that around the '90s too. Not to add characters, but I remember they had like an ultra special collector's edition that had like Coruscant credits and everything, and just all kinds of shit. And there was a version released, I think, right before that didn't have that. So it's an interesting collectible precedent. That's kind of the thing that collectors live for. If you picked it up, like you said, if you pick it up and then this one comes out, it's an instant collector item because then it's not really a variant, but it's an edition that that's different. It's like reprints of books. It's always interesting to see what they change and add on to it in subsequent versions. Monopoly's gotten interesting about that though because of course they have everything awfully now. It's almost as bad as pop vinyls collecting all the editions of Monopoly. There's someone somewhere with like an entire bedroom full of nothing but Monopoly games.
I'm sure. I'm not one of those people.
Not at all.
I have the Star Wars Saga version of Monopoly.
That's the one I have. Yeah.
We have Hitchcock, Clue, and then we've got.
Isn't Clue kind of Hitchcockian anyway? That's an interesting riff on it.
Yeah, it's really cool. And then we got we've got Seinfeld, Monopoly.
Oh, nice.
And then we've got Hello Kitty Monopoly.
Hello Kitty Monopoly.
Yeah, but which is really interesting because I have issues playing Monopoly. So we have so many Monopoly games and I'm just kind of like.
Nope. Clue was my favorite board game, but it was like the most seldomly played board game when I was a kid. I think that's why it's my favorite because it didn't grow old like Monopoly does. Because you play that once when you're a kid and you're like, oh, I'm never touching this again.
Especially when you get somebody who knows exactly what they're doing and they just wipe the board with you.
Yeah, exactly. My least favorite board game ever is probably Risk, and I've never really played it. It's ironic because like Risk Legacy and Pandemic Legacy are the two games I want to play, and they take like a year and a half to play each, and then you can never play them again. Have you heard about that? Like, it has real-time events in the game, and then like once you open something to trigger an event, like you can't do it again. Like, there's no way to reset the game. Like, once you finish playing, you're done. So it's like if you want to play again, you gotta drop another like $80 on it.
No way.
Yeah, they're ridiculous because it's kind of like a self-contained role-playing game in that it goes on for a minute, and but it has a defined end. There is an end game to it, but it's a one-shot though, which is kind of interesting. But I remember back when I worked for the Boy Scouts, these two staff dudes had a Risk game set up over the weekend between camps, and they played for 2.5 days straight.
Jeez.
Worse than chess grandmasters. Like, they were pondering every single move, like, really strategically and really in depth. And it took them 2.5 days, and they eventually had to declare a draw because they had to go back to work. But just like, if we'd have let them to it, they'd probably still be playing it. Just that one game of Risk. And I remember seeing that. I'm like, I am never touching that game because I have things to do.
I at one point had bought the Transformers version of Risk, and
That just sounds cool.
And it sounded cool, except they completely changed the rules of Risk. And so
But they still called it Risk?
But they still called it was Special Transformers Edition Risk. I had a battle.
That's weird.
I had a Pirates of the Caribbean battleship that did that to me, and
Pirates of the Battleship.
I was ticked about that. It's like, dude, don't put special rules in the game. I just want it for the old-fashioned ships.
Yeah, exactly.
Special game. If I want to play Risk, it's because I want the Decepticons versus the Autobots. That's what I want. I don't want special rules. So anyway, that disappointed me. So I'm okay with special edition games like that as long as they don't change the rules.
Marcus, are you a board game collector?
No, I used to enjoy board games when I was younger.
Yeah.
With different family members and stuff. I had a few, but I really didn't take care of them. And I remember back when Donkey Kong was popular and like that, I had a Donkey Kong board game, and I had another one too. I think a E.T. board game also, and I never really got into those. A little bit of Battleship, a little bit of like that. I would play with, like I said, with certain family members, but. As far as collecting, no. I mean, I really don't have any board games right now except for that Star Trek board game that my wife bought me. But I haven't even messed with that. I don't even want to mess with the pieces or anything. I'd rather just leave it the way it is.
Yeah, board games seem like a hard thing to collect because they take up so much room. I didn't get into really playing board games. Like, I remember as a kid, like I would play them. And I just I don't know if I just couldn't find people who wanted to play it, or if I just grew out of it. But I've only recently started to get back into wanting to play them. No thanks to Geek and Sundry and Will Wheaton and the Tabletop YouTube show, because I'll watch them play it. And I'm like, holy crap, I gotta buy that, and I would go and buy it, and I have like a bookshelf full of board games now. And then my library recently, because they keep hosting tabletop nights, they recently have a new board game section. Like, you can check out board games at the library, which is really cool. But it doesn't help my my addiction to trying to play them and find people to play them with now. And but but as far as collecting them, it seems it's one of those things, kind of like action figures. It's hard to collect in a lot of ways because it's one of those things like you want to actively use if you get into it. It's weird to say you're just collecting board games and putting them on a shelf. Like people do with pops and action figures, just putting them in the box in the wrap and not doing anything. Seems strange. I don't know. It seems like something that's really hard to evaluate because you want to interact with it. There's just something about it. That's me personally. I'm sure there's 1,000 different opinions on it.
I like seeing my pop vinyls outside. I have an issue where I like to see them out, but I don't like to get rid of the boxes. So I end up with needing twice as much room as you would think you would need, because I need someplace to store the boxes and then someplace to store the pops.
Yeah.
It's like I've been trying to figure out some way to effectively store my pop boxes because I want them out and I want to see them, and it's actually really funny right now because our dryer is powerful enough that it'll shake the room a little bit, so my little bobbleheads will go.
Yeah. That's my thing in the office, because I keep all the Star Wars ones in the office, and I don't know if there's like a subtle vibration or if it's just me coding, but I'll look over where BB-8 and Yoda and the Crimson Corsair is about to go, and they're all just like nodding in agreement while I'm doing whatever. That's okay though, But I have the same thing too. It's like, well, I'll keep the box because I want to sell it, because then it'll be slightly used and then I can sell it. But I don't have room for all this stuff. And it was actually a big existential debate I had with the stuff I picked up at Coconuts, because they were, I don't know if it was people like playing with them or if they'd returned them or what, but the boxes were really like beat to hell. Like there was, like even if I like sold them in the box, they probably wouldn't raise the value very much at all because they're already beat up. It looks like someone just kicked them across the room, even though the figures are perfectly fine. They're not the sexiest looking thing to display. And then they have the adhesive price stickers that are always hell on earth to get off if you try to peel off, and they're always on the front of the box. Like they're like, as far as collectability goes, the boxes on those are not pristine. So I had no problem tossing those this weekend. Yeah, kind of like when you get a TV shipped, that level of abuse was like the figures I purchased. It was bad. But yeah, that's us. Welcome to Radio Free Geek, the weekly show where we talk about everything geeky, nerdy, and all points in between, including movies, comics, books, games, collectibles, random shit. A little bit of everything. So, how's your week been? What have we been playing, watching, reading? What have we been doing with our lives the past week? Past 2 weeks, actually. We had Jesse had classes to prepare for, and I had a massive eye infection to get over with. So we are actually we actually have a 2 week gap between episodes this time.
I have been trying absolutely 100% to avoid this game called Neko Etsume because it is basically Cat Collector.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh man.
I've been trying to avoid it.
Speaking of that game.
Like all my students I knew I loved cats. My friends were like playing it at Panera. We were at Panera and they both got out their Neko Etsume and we were like comparing notes about which one they've been able to photograph and which one they haven't been able to photograph. I was feeling like a real loser. And then all this week, like as soon as people found out I liked cats, they're like, "Do you have Neko Etsume? Have you seen Mr. Tubbs?" And so
oh my God, they know the names.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's like Pokemon for cats. So there's like all these cats, and so I started it up last night, and I've been visited by Snowball and Spots so far, and now I'm just like, oh great, there goes my life. There it goes. Right there.
I have been on a mission to I downloaded it back when it was in Japanese, and that was the only way you could get it. Was basically bootleg. Was basically tricked the App Store into letting you download a Japanese game on the U.S. store,
yeah.
Which is actually surprisingly hard to do. But I did it back then. I had to figure out what the hell everything was. So I remembered the other day because Nerdist or somebody was talking about it. I'm like, holy shit, I had this game. So like I went and updated it to English, and right out of the gate, I drop a log onto my house, because what you do is like you buy stuff and you sit there and the cats will come and eat your food unless this fat ass cat comes and eats it all.
That's Mr.
Yeah, like they'll come in and they have this humongous Japanese plushie of him, as they should. But right out of the gate, I drop a log and I get a samurai cat. And he's practicing sword moves on the log, and that just made my entire weekend. I may or may not have bought some flower pot decoration Neko Katsumi cats on eBay yesterday. But yeah, it's free if you love cat. Well, it's free unless you want to buy. It's one of those free-to-play games. But if you want to do shit faster, you have to either please your cats by buying sushi all the damn time, or you have to spend real money. But I don't want to.
It's
So,
you know what? I'm surprised at how fast it is to get. I don't know if I've just been visited like mad, but
hmm
it's been fairly easy for me to find to get fish, and they do that conversion now where if
hmm
gets like 500 gray fish, you get 10 goldfish.
hmm
So I'm a pretty patient person. I think I could do this game without. Now, granted, I might drop money because it's only like. I mean, they only want like $3 out of you.
Yeah, like it's not much. Like if this was like the Kim Kardashian game or anything else, it'd be like $20 right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really good conversion rate. It is kind of a time suck, kind of like Fallout Shelter was when I played it. Not because it's like insane micromanaging. It's just like you're always constantly checking like the cat's eating food, if the cat's
Oh,
eating.
that's there.
I make fun of my cousin's kids for playing Kim Kardashian and a few of those other time suck games, and then I'm playing this in secret. Like, don't look at me right now.
But that's the thing, though, is it's definitely, if you want to hands off on it, you can. I,
Yeah,
I like the fact that if I neglect it for a day, it's not like I lose all my progress. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
It's
So
not an instant fail. Yeah. But it's fun. It's a very Japanese video game or mobile game for better or for worse. It's if go and look at it, download if you want to. But it's very obvious what you're getting into.
yeah.
The literal name of it is Cat Collector. So you have been warned. It will rob you of your soul.
Oh my gosh, I'm looking at pictures on Facebook on.
They have if anybody remembers the Sega UFO machines, which are notorious for having collectibles. They had the Final Fantasy toys way back when, Final Fantasy VII toys way back when that are so expensive on eBay to this day. But they have Neko Katsumi cats in there right now, which
Yes.
yes, which eventually will make their way over here for like $100, like Japanese stuff usually does. Um, in the meantime, I'm just gonna sit here with my cat bud pop and wait for them to maybe show up in America,
Yeah.
which they probably won't. I don't know. They might show up at Dragon Con. I don't know. That's always a nice hub of obscure collectible shit. So I'll see. If worse comes worse, I can always go on Etsy, and there's probably somebody just ripping them off. Marcus, what have
Oh,
you been up to? Marcus?
oh, did he bail out? No.
He's been abducted by aliens. He's talked too much.
No, we started talking about Neko at Tsumi. Like, that's a conversation I can't follow through with.
Marcus is not the target audience for Neko Katsumi. Speaking of obscure games, my weekend has been equally divided between Shovel Knight and Grim Fandango, both of which are awesome and both of which are very, very different games. But let's start with the first one. Shovel Knight is kind of like Mega Man in a lot of ways. If Mega Man was a blue knight with Viking horns and a shovel sword, and basically it's the same idea. You go in, you can buy relics which give you abilities that make it easier to fight bosses and collect treasures. You have to fight all your way through this castle to save your one true love. It's not trying to avoid any tropes here. It's a classic 16-bit game. I wish someone would bootleg it to a Super Nintendo cartridge because it feels at home with it. It's got this cool retro soundtrack. It had a download for the soundtrack that came with it. You can do all these combos. It's very much at home with Mega Man, Mega Man X. It's very obvious what inspired it. Just very medieval themed, and it's very challenging. It's not a something you can rush through and win very easily. You can in the first level or two. You're like, oh, this is easy. I'll rush through. You do that by like the second, third, fourth castle, and you get screwed every single time. And then they have the obligatory ice levels, the obligatory air levels, the obligatory auto scroll level. the most insane of which is that you're in a water dungeon and it's an auto scroll level while you're being chased by a giant anglerfish. It's ridiculous. It's hard. It's $14.99. It's amazing. That was a Christmas gift. I picked up a Shovel Knight amiibo of all things the other day, and apparently you can unlock a 2-player co-op mode that's only on Nintendo. And Sendel really wants to play it with me, and there's not a 2-player mode on the PS4 one, so we're probably going to re-download it and trade in the PS4 one just so we can experience it together. Until she wants to get the training wheels off and do it herself, like a badass. But yeah, it's an amazing game. And then Grim Fandango is the last LucasArts adventure game, which LucasArts in the 90s were not infamous, but they were very well known and very well respected for having numerous adventure games. You guys probably have heard of a few of them. There's the Monkey Island series of games. There is a noir type game that I do not remember. I do not remember what it's called. Day of the Tentacle, and its prequel before that, which I think was just called Monster House. Just so many things. Indiana Jones, Maniac Mansion, Secret of Monkey Island. I was going to say Dragon Quest, but they did not do that. But it's very much in the same vein as that. Grim Fandango is the Sam & Max was the one I was thinking about. But Grim Fandango was the last one, and to me it's hilarious if you're into gallows humor because the story starts out you're playing it's based on Day of the Dead and like the Aztec version of the afterlife where you cross a desert, I think, or a river to make your way to the afterlife from like basically purgatory, and you start out as a guy as a guy called Manny Calavera, who's basically a Grim Reaper, and whenever souls come into the afterlife, he's a travel agent. He tries to sell them travel packages across the land of the undead, but he keeps getting like crappy clients, and then he finds out that there's like a corrupted government, and it's an adventure game. It just keeps ratcheting up the stakes, but it's so ridiculous as far as games go.
Oh wow.
It's fantastic. It's great. It's full of the classic LucasArts puzzles, where you have to like solve things by using like balloon animals and all kinds of things, pieces of bread. You meet sarcastic dead clowns, just all kinds of stuff. It's free on PlayStation Network right now. It just got a remastering and a re-release by Tim Schafer, who directed it, and it's fantastic. Unfortunately, when it first came out in 1998. At the end of 1998, no one really cared about adventure games, and that killed LucasArts making adventure games, and eventually killed the genre as a whole, which is still a tragedy. But it was the swan song to the genre, and it's been a fun past day or two playing that. But yeah, if you have PlayStation Plus, it's free. Go and get it. It's awesome. I think it's like $20 otherwise.
Oh.
I'm looking at the Wikipedia page, and they have a group photo of all of the main characters, like modeled and rendered in the game, like they're just posing for a class photo. That's great. One of the cool tricks, I think that one of the tricks in this that I think were really cool because it's a remastered game. Of course, when they remaster it, they do they do better textures, better lighting. They just make it a little more current gen. One of the things that I think is cool, and of course it's the classic PlayStation 1 style thing where it has, kind of like Resident Evil, it has fixed camera angles, it has really beautiful pre-rendered backgrounds, and really the only things that are remastered are the characters. Anything that's animated, basically doors, characters, tools, props, weapons. But you can click the right analog stick and you can cycle between the original version and the remastered version, so you can kind of witness the polishing that went on while you were playing the game, which I thought was just really cool. So I'd be walking to the street and I'd just be clicking it on and off, just to see what was different. Just fantastic, which is really cool. I'm a big fan of remastered games after playing the Uncharted collection and seeing the beautiful remastering they did for PS4 and just it's really cool because even if it's a generation apart, like PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4, you don't think there's a lot of improvement that can be made, and then you play something that is a remastered version of a game that you played beforehand, and you're like, holy crap, this is this is what I thought it was, 5 years ago, and now it's even better. Like, how did they do this? And it's pretty cool watching, being able to cycle between both versions.
Cool beans.
Yeah. Are you back, Marcus?
Yes, I am.
Was wondering if you got abducted by aliens.
Oh no.
Good. It's a horrible situation.
What? You were abducted by aliens? That happened?
True story.
Oh.
I mean, I road trip through Roswell one time, so I mean that's halfway there.
Oh, all right. Hey, that sounds like
Such a fun little city. Town, city, village, whatever it is. It's New Mexico. But what have you been up to, Marcus? What have you been playing, reading, getting into the past week?
Well, actually, I'm playing a little bit of Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, back and forth, and then recently I looked into Humble Bundle. They had a nice little deal going on with some Tom Clancy games, and
that's the guy I forgot made games.
Oh, Tom Clancy, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember playing the original Rainbow Six, and then I just kind of forgot about it.
Yeah, they had that game. They had that like three or four Rainbow Six games.
Yeah.
Those Recons, some Splinter Cell. Like I think it was like 5 Splinter Cell games, and all that for $10.
Actually, they have a lot going on right now too. They have a winter. It's basically like a Steam Mega Cell. They have a Bethesda Cell, Sega Cell, Witcher Cell, Codemasters, Capcom. Yeah. Oh my God, Humble Bundle has just thrown down.
Yeah, they got
Elder Scrolls. Oh, no one cares about Elder Scrolls. Elder Scrolls Online, that is. But you can get Witcher 3 with the expansion pass for $51.99, which is not bad. Because that just came out. Shovel Knight, like we were saying, you can pick it up for $10.04. You can pick up Grim Fandango for $4. Wolfenstein New Order for $8.99. Yeah. Just missed. You can pick up Soma for $22, which is brand new. It's usually $30. Not bad. Not a bad week at all. Dishonored Game of the Year edition for $10.19. Fallout 3 Game of the Year for $6.79. Not a bad haul at all. And this is through Humble Bundle. It's not even through Steam. So imagine what they're doing right now.
Yeah, and
Dark Souls for $5, $4.99. Like, holy crap.
They always have some really good deals.
Yeah.
That I picked up on that Tom Clancy deal. I've played some of the Ghost Recon games, and those are really good. I love the Rainbow Six Vegas 1 and 2. And then,
I played the original Vegas, and I absolutely loved it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That one's really good. And the second one, me and my uncle play a lot.
Yeah.
Play the terrorist hunt. Yeah.
Thing, but we getting into your tactical first-person shooters.
Yeah, and they're really good. And we enjoy them. And the co-op is really good. I mean, me and my uncle do that a lot. And I haven't played any of the Splinter Cell games, so I'm kind of anxious to dig into those and see how those are.
I remember I remember playing the first or second one. And I remember hating it because it was it was muted myself by accident. Alien Isolation for $12.49. Good God, that's a perfect game. But I remember hating it because it was so rigid in its ability to. It was so rigid in what you had to do. Like if you weren't a stealthy player, like I'm not. Like my stealth ability is crap. It's just utter crap. But it like if you broke stealth, you instantly failed. Like you couldn't do like Hitman and shoot somebody in the face and get rid of them. It's like, no, you're done.
Oh no.
Yeah, but I think they loosened up because a lot of people didn't. Obviously a lot of people that's not their play style, and they're like, you got to give us some freedom, and they didn't. System Shock for $4.99. I keep scrolling through Humble Bundle. I'm so sorry, but I remember hating it. But I remember they really did they really went out and really tried to improve on it. And I remember the last one was was more action oriented. It was kind of like Hitman in a lot of ways. You can be stealthy or you can be action. You bust in there and kill everybody. It doesn't matter. Which is cool. It's good to see. It's good to see improvement in games like that. If Metal Gear Solid 5 was a good example of that this year. You didn't have to be stealthy. It's whatever playstyle you wanted to be. And it's just a beautiful thing when games improve to based on the feedback of the players.
Oh yeah, that helps out a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, even Metal Gear Solid 4 was you can do either or, and that's one of the reasons why I enjoyed that game too. Because I mean, my stealth kind of sucks too, and but being able to pick up, or use any gun that I have on my character, I mean, and then just go run through and blast everybody. That made the game a lot better.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, cool. Beautiful. As far as reading, I've been on a massive graphic novel kick. I think I've checked out every book from my library over the past couple of weeks. I think I've read almost all of American Vampire, which is fantastic. It's another Scott Snyder horror masterpiece. The first volume was co-written with Stephen King, and just man, it's been great. But otherwise, just getting into the year, I recently bought a 3D printing manual, so hopefully we'll start getting into that a little bit more, and start getting my prop making game on in time for Dragon Con in September. So we'll see how that goes. I always start out ambitiously in January. It's like, I'm going to Dragon Con. I've got 8 months. Look at all the stuff I can do, and then September rolls around. I'm like, I haven't made a damn thing. So we'll see if this year is any better than last year. We'll see. Everybody get your Deadpool going on. Oh, speaking of Deadpool, have you guys seen the ads that they've been cranking out lately?
No.
Which ones?
Yeah, which one? They've cranked out so much. They had the fake Valentine's Day ad, so guys could trick their girlfriends into going and see it with them.
Good. Oh my gosh,
They had the emoticon ad. Have you guys seen that? It was a pile of poop. No wait, it was a skull, poop, and then the letter L. So it was Deadpool. And then they did another ad where instead of Deadpool, it said skull, poop, L. Instead of Deadpool, and it showed him laying on it like he did in the other ads. It's just the marketing team are just a bunch of mad geniuses over there. It's a fantastic thing to watch.
Well, and you have a unique opportunity with just the
character.
Yeah, the character. I mean, you have a unique opportunity as far as what you can get away with, because I mean, arguably you can get away with quite a bit with Deadpool.
Yeah.
I mean, he's so meta in the comic books anyway. You were saying.
Yeah, because he would always like pop out, and like if he wanted like intel on somebody, he would just pop out and read their comics and then go back into his story. Like he was a comic book character who's aware that he is a comic book character, and I think that's something they've really embraced. They've embraced a lot of the fan interaction and embraced just a lot of the fun they can have with Deadpool. You see him popping out of his movie trailers to go and vandalize the Batman and Superman ads and just everything else. And I think that speaks to hopefully what the movie is going to be about, which is just having fun with it. Because if they'd have just done yes, here's a trailer, and just did trailers, it wouldn't inspire as much confidence as I think they're doing now. Because that's Deadpool doesn't play by the rules, right? Why should his marketing? It's a beautiful thing. Hopefully that will continue well into February.
Robert, you're breaking up really bad.
So are you. Oh man.
I think it's those aliens you were talking about.
Anyway. Can you hear me now?
We couldn't.
Yeah, that was weird. My internet was in the orange for a minute. It's only bad if it's red because that means it's off. That would not be a good thing. Okay, I think my Steam while I was doing it. Obviously, that eats up some serious bandwidth. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good. Yeah. but yeah, if Deadpool doesn't play by the rules, and if they had played by the rules of the marketing, I think that wouldn't have had the same kind of positive reaction people have had to the movies, because if they just done the trite obvious basic, like, here's a trailer, have fun with it, it would be out of character for Deadpool.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I'm hoping they really stay close to the comic book as possible.
oh yeah, definitely. And everything seems to point to it. Seems to point to it doing that. Which is a great thing. That's something that's kind of come into stark contrast with Batman versus Superman, in that, like, every time they show a scene where Ben Affleck talks, everyone's like, well, that's not the way Batman would do it. That's not the way the comics are doing it. So it's refreshing to see a comic book movie. In Civil War, in a lot of ways, people have judged it based on the 2 to 3 minutes they've seen so far. People are really preemptively judging a lot of what they see, and it's really refreshing to see something like Deadpool come out, which initially had a lot of skepticism, and see that skepticism kind of fade away instead of increase the closer it gets to release. So hopefully they can carry it all the way through and and have a damn good movie to go with this marketing. All signs point to yes, so we'll find out in a month.
Well, and I think with as much, with as much blood, sweat, and tears that Ryan Reynolds has put into this, arguably he was pumped for that Green Lantern movie, and so it in many ways broke my heart with how bad that ended up, because he was just so into it. He wanted to be at the conventions, he wanted people to be psyched about his character, and then he got the movie that he did. So I'm really hoping that this one turns around for him.
Oh yeah, me too. I liked the Green Lantern, but I just didn't like the way the ending with the villain, the way the villain looked and stuff. Mm-hmm. That was the only thing to me that was really disappointing.
Yeah, and you guys were it in. I mean, when Ryan Reynolds' costume is mostly CGI, it doesn't really lend itself to feeling convincing in a lot of ways, and it's probably just the technology of the group they went with, because there are movies where the actors are completely CG. I mean, look at both of the new Planet of the Apes movies. There are movies where the CG is all over the place, but they do it in such a convincing way that you watch it and you get lost in it. You think that Andy Serkis is Caesar, and you get lost in it, and there's no uncanny valley. It feels that real. But Green Lantern didn't feel like that, which was the worst part. And it's really a movie that should have. But contrast that with, and again, editing, your special effects department makes or breaks the way those things look. Contrast that with how Ryan Reynolds looks in Deadpool. And I mean, he walks out on stage, he walks out there, he's doing stunts, he's talking, he is Deadpool in every single frame that you've seen in him so far, and that is a beautiful thing to see.
Oh yeah, that's true. The only thing that's going to be, or the only character that would probably just be CGI is Colossus.
Oh yeah, it has to be. But what you've seen in Colossus so far, he looks a hell of a lot better than he did in X-Men 3. You can tell they put a lot of work into every single person that's in that you've seen in the trailer so far.
Yeah, really, and Colossus is supposed to sound Russian this time.
Yes, as he should be.
Yeah, that's another plus for him.
That's another plus. Very much so. I mean, it's like they realize it's like they're making up for several things, because I remember Colossus, well, actually X-Men 3 in so many ways got pooped on by critics, by audiences, and then Ryan Reynolds' first thing as Deadpool, even though it was a different take, and I understand, appreciate that got pooped on by critics, that got pooped on by the audience. So in a lot of ways, it's kind of like Ryan Reynolds and Fox being like, okay, we listened, here's what you wanted the first time. And it's really cool. They're giving it a chance to breathe and be its own thing, and the audience is giving them that chance. And it's great. It's like, you wouldn't expect that with any other movie. Like if they did another Green Lantern with Ryan Reynolds, people would be like, I don't want to see that.
Yeah, that would be a big mistake.
Yeah, it's rare you can come into the same role basically with a different approach, and people embrace that. So we'll see how the movie fares in a month. Hopefully it will, because I really love Deadpool and I really don't want this to be screwed up. But then again, look at how people looked at the Daredevil TV series when it first came out. They expected it. They're like, "Oh my God, Ben Affleck screwed this up. What are you doing, Marvel?" And then it came out and blew everybody away, you know. But before then, they were like, "What are you doing? This is the wrong casting. This is everything else," and they blew everybody away. And they're basically doing that this time with season 2. You know, people are saying they got the wrong guy for Elektra. They got the wrong guy for Punisher. They got the wrong woman for Elektra. And it's interesting, but that speaks to the passion of the fans. If it was something they didn't care about or didn't feel deeply connected about, I mean, look at everything leading up to Star Wars. You know, if people didn't really truly connect to those characters and what it means to them, then you know, no one would say anything.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Go ahead, Chrissy.
Oh no, it's okay.
It's like two opinions collided on the same track.
Yeah.
Same mental track.
I was gonna say, I mean, look at Chris Evans. You know, when he played, when he was in the
not Johnny Five. Fantastic Four. What's his face?
Johnny Storm.
Johnny Storm. I'm not a Fantastic Four reader. I'm sorry. Johnny Storm, not Johnny Five. Although he could do it again. You know, everybody's rebooting.
Yeah. You know, when he
played
Storm in Fantastic Four, you know how a lot of people complained about both of those movies and stuff. And
actually, all three, even the new one, got slammed pretty badly.
God, the new one was horrible.
See, perfect cast, just abysmal editing and writing.
Yeah, you know, and, I mean, and then now Chris Evans is taking off with Captain America, and it worked out great for him. So I'm really hoping Deadpool works out, you know, perfect for Ryan Reynolds, and that it takes off like a rocket for him.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, and Ryan Reynolds, you just couldn't ask for a better guy to play Deadpool. I mean, that's the fact that Ryan Reynolds is playing him is an in-joke to the comics in itself, because Deadpool has always maintained that he looks like Ryan Reynolds, and it's one of those Marvel in-jokes, kind of like when they got Samuel L. Jackson to be Nick Fury, because that was the ultimate version of Nick Fury was based on Samuel Jackson. It's one of those in-jokes. Just the entire thing is just done with, it just appears to be done with so much love. So can't wait for it.
Yeah, you know, I mean,
arguably, I'm looking more forward to Deadpool than Rogue One, but that's because I don't know a damn thing about Rogue One besides a cast photo and Donnie Yen.
Oh, there's a rumor that Darth Vader might be in Rogue One.
I'm okay with that. I was talking to Sindel because Donnie Yen is like a kung fu master, and if he doesn't get to be a kung fu master in Rogue One, that is a waste of Donnie Yen. And I really want Donnie Yen to be like a Lost Jedi, and I really want in my fantasy fan movie, I really want a Donnie Yen Darth Vader showdown. Oh,
that'd be interesting.
That would be amazing. Is what that would be.
Yeah, it almost would be like Count Dooku and Yoda.
Yeah, just an amazingly talented martial arts guy. I really hope he's not just some standard guy like, oh yes, I have a blaster rifle, let's go steal some Death Star plans. I hope I hope Donnie Yen gets to be Donnie Yen. You know what I mean?
That was a very posh guy there.
Yes, he's drinking his Earl Grey while he's suiting up to go steal some plans. But that's the and again, I think it's all intentional. Of course, Disney, I think, is following the same kind of cadence they did last year, where I think the first trailer we're really going to see of Rogue One is going to be during Civil War, and then it's going to piggyback off of that and carry on. So we got a ways to wait before we see the trailer, and I don't like that. I do like the new rumor though that the ending of it, and this is an old rumor, but everything old is new again, but like the ending shot of Rogue One is going to be the opening shot of New Hope. And and for one, I want that. I really want that. And for two, if that's true, just like the two Thing movies, I want someone to do a supercut where it's Rogue One and it seamlessly goes into New Hope. That would just be great. Oh, well, yeah. I want that now.
Because I mean, with the Bothans stealing the plans and then taking it directly to them, and I mean, you could see the Bothans ship going directly to that, And then the next thing you know, I mean, with the striker chasing him down, and right to that.
Exactly. And that's and they're kind of setting the stage for that in a lot of ways. Of course, the Rebels is in its mid-season, January 20th. They're going to start doing the second half of season 2, and they just released a trailer for that. Which Rebels, of course, takes place, I think, 15, 20 years before. Let me fact check that really quick. It takes place a mildly significant amount of time before New Hope, in that you have this ragtag band of rebels. You have set 14 years after Revenge of the Sith and 5 years before New Hope. Okay, so I was right if you're drunk and listening to me. But it's but they revealed a new trailer, and it has so much going for it. And obviously, this is the first encounter we're having with the Star Wars universe, past, present, or future, after A New Hope, or after Force Awakens, and before Rogue One. So they have a lot of ground to cover. And in the trailer, you have Ezra and Kanan, the old Jedi Padawan in Kanan, and then Ezra, his young apprentice that he's kind of taken on. Trying to learn their ways of the Force, but they're getting help from what appears to be an old Jedi temple with some Jedi guards. No one knows where they're coming from. It shows everything from Princess Leia coming in to help them to Kanan Ezra finding a 3-bladed crossguard lightsaber, albeit green and more well built than Kylo Ren's. You have a showdown. You have Ahsoka, who is Anakin's old Padawan, facing off with him and finally figuring out that he is Darth Vader. And you have so much stuff happening, and I think it's setting the groundwork for not only Rogue One, but I think it's helping to kind of explain a lot of the things that Force Awakens had in it. Like maybe that's the first Jedi temple that Luke was in, or something. There's never been a better time to get into Rebels, but if you haven't jumped into it for whatever reason, it's a perfect time to do it. And just, I can't wait to see these last, I think it's 12-ish episodes of season 2 have to fill in those gaps, both past and future. Have you guys seen it? What do you think? I know you've got some feelings, probably.
Yeah, well, I have feelings, but unfortunately, there's not as much as they should be because I haven't seen it.
Oh no. Oh, and you have old Yoda too. You have Ezra talking to old Dagobah Yoda, just seen on a log. I don't think it's on Dagobah because it looks like a Force meditation. So who knows? It's not the first time. Not the first time the Jedi's from Rebels have talked to Yoda in one of the old temples from season 1. They also talked to him as well about what it means to be a Jedi. But I think it's neat because it's a great filler between Clone Wars and New Hope in that there are some old clone troopers like Rex is there from the Clone Wars. It's just so many things. Ahsoka is grown up and she's almost a full Jedi. She used to be Anakin's Padawan during the Clone Wars TV show, and she left before Episode 3, obviously, because she wasn't in it. But even at its barest level, it's tying up storyline from Episode 3 and the Clone Wars show, and then also kind of tying into the world building of what's going on before New Hope and also during it. And that's where the Inquisitors come from, the ones that everyone is saying kind of based on the Knights of Ren, or kind of inspired the Knights of Ren. They're not fully trained Force users. They have trick lightsabers that spin, have double blades, and it's doing a lot of that. And it seems like this is trying to organically push that forward. Continue their story, but also embrace the fact that there's a larger world with that too. The Star Wars comics have done that in a lot of ways, with Luke going to Corellia and finding a Hutt who's collecting Force artifacts, and come to find out that it's really a ruse by Vader to not only shut down the Hutt and his collection of Jedi artifacts, but also to capture Luke at the same time. So at its very barest, it builds the world up. That it fills the void that the expanded universe left behind. But I think at its best, it's going to help weave together these disparate stories across this timeline we've had so far.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of action going on now.
Yeah, they've got a lot of shoes to fill.
Yeah, that's true too. Which is good. I mean,
Yeah.
they need to do that.
Yeah. And I think it's especially with Rogue One coming in, because this is a few years before that. Of course, it's about 5 years before you see them sealing the Death Star plans. It's Leia's first kind of appearance with the rebellion, setting up her, what eventually is their entire life, helping the rebellion and helping to fight against the Empire and eventually the First Order. And this is her first kind of taste of that in Rebels, but eventually that could ultimately set some kind of stage for Rogue One. You kind of see the threads in it, and then you put it together when you see the movie. It's like, oh, well, she did this, and this led to that, which I think is a synergy that the Marvel TV shows are missing with the movies. I want my threads to be sewn together a little more tightly, and I think Star Wars and Lucasfilm have a really good opportunity to kind of one up their one of their sister companies with the way they're doing their storytelling.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think it's one of those things where we definitely we don't. It's Star Wars isn't a comic book universe. Like, arguably, you could let things go just because that's the nature of the comic books. People we mentioned before, people die and then they come back. Star Wars has always kind of, at least in my mind, been a lot more of a strong storyline where you don't have that going on. Now you could say, granted, the expanded universe really messed that up, but
Well, sometimes.
But still, it wasn't.
On occasion.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as we see in the comic books.
Definitely.
So I think the best thing that they could do is keep the storyline as intertwined as possible.
Definitely. Yeah, and the anthology shows have an interesting part of that, or an interesting slice of that, because they're not necessarily woven. They don't have to be beholden to the current episodic storyline. Like they don't have to necessarily tie into what you're seeing going on with Force Awakens. But at some level, I think, especially in this early first stage, at some level, I feel like they have to reference that somewhere. Like Max von Sydow's character, of course, the first guy you see in Force Awakens. His name I always forget. But in the if you read the visual dictionary, he's been a scout and close confidant of the Rebellion and the New Republic for decades. It would be interesting to see, even if there's no direct tie, like, yes, here's where he gets this map ship that you see in Force Awakens. Like, that's a little too spelled out, but it would be interesting to see Lar San Tekka, which almost sounds like Max von Sydow. It sounds very European. It would be interesting to see him in his prime being that to the Rebellion, being the scout and confidant that you eventually see Poe Dameron talking to with that utmost respect that you see at the very beginning of Force Awakens. Of course, Poe Dameron just got his own comic book series that details with what he's doing right before Force Awakens. So hopefully you'll see more of San Tekka then. But wouldn't it be great just to see him in his prime? Kind of like when you're seeing Yoda in his prime during the prequel trilogy.
Yes.
Yeah, because we know nothing about the guy, right? Let's I would love to see Maz pop up somewhere. Just somewhere, something that's another in joke that's like, who this person is, and they're not necessarily important to the story, but here they are. Here's this connected universe. It's I would love to see these characters fleshed out and kind of told more about their story. More than I would love to talk about rumors about where they're going to show up next, more than talking about if Snoke is Darth Vader. You know what I mean?
or Darth Plagueis.
Darth Plagueis, or my personal favorite, the Sith Lord from Knights of the Old Republic, which is currently not canon. For one, it's currently in a canon. Secondly, it's a video game, so no one's really going to get that. but he was frozen in carbonite like 10,000 years before Force Awakens. It's like there was no way, for one, you're going to survive carbonite, and for another one, no. No one's going to get that reference except people who played that game. which is unfortunately, even though they were amazing, it's a very, 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 very small fragment of people going to see the movie. It's better just let Snoke be Snoke. Why can't it be Snoke? Stop it. But I would rather rumor all day long about where we're going to see these people again. You know, we know Maz is force attuned, if not completely force sensitive. You know, but where does she get training? Where the hell did Luke's lightsaber come from? If they don't spell it out in the movies, spell it out in the tertiaries. Spell it in the anthologies, the comics, something. I want to know more.
Yeah, really. You know, show their origins. Claim their origins or something. You know?
Exactly. But I think Rogue One would be a perfect opportunity to name drop / cameo Santeca, if not make him a integral part of where they get the leads to get the Death Star plan. I think that would be a perfect opportunity to flesh him out a little bit more, because he honestly had less of a chance than Maz to be like, oh, I want to know more about this guy.
Yeah.
I found out more about him reading a paragraph in the visual dictionary than I did in the movie.
Yeah.
That's bad. That's bad, Lucasfilm. Fix that.
It would also be a lot more interesting than having to hear these little side stories about, is Jar Jar Binks a possible Sith Lord or a possible Jedi or something? And oh my God, you know, I mean, enough with Jar Jar Binks being evil. You know, he's too clumsy and dumb.
And it's just like we said. Well, it's a ruse, remember? But it's I think it's just like a it's just like we said in past episodes. I think people were so desperate to see any kind of fresh information after the last trailer, that they were wanting to basically they were wanting to grasp on anything and talk about it.
Yeah, they were just reaching for anything.
Which is fair. I mean, look at the sheer amount of stuff they're doing with Civil War. I mean, the Russo brothers did a throwaway line during I think New York Comic Con about Infinity War having like 67 characters, and people took that at verbatim. There have been so many discussions on Reddit and Facebook and everywhere else trying to figure out who these 67 characters are without thinking about the fact. But it's that, I mean, again, it's going back to that interest, the passion of people. I mean, the passion to discover anything and everything about the story before the story happens is just a huge thing. And I think that's that's a victim of modern marketing, because Marvel especially wants to overshare everything. But you contrast that with Civil War II, where they're talking about anything. Hang on, texting. Where they're talking about anything and everything, and they're giving you all these details. But then when you get to the movies, they're like, they just kind of zip the lips and they're like, not gonna talk about it. It's that culture clash when you change mediums when you change mediums, we want to talk about the same characters.
I can see there being more superheroes helping out, the Avengers trying to defeat the Mad Titan and stuff, because he is going to get strong. He's going to be strong in that movie, especially if he gets all those gems. But I think a lot of fans probably are going to start complaining, because they're probably going to want to see all these 67 superheroes in Civil War.
Oh Lord, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because from what I hear, I haven't read Civil War, but from what I hear, and the pictures that I've seen, there are a lot more superheroes in that fight than what's going to be in Captain America's Civil War movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
obviously, it's going to be a bunch more than the Principal Avengers. But 67 is, and there were like quite literally like 70 superheroes in the comics, but it's going to be hard to balance that into the comic. I mean, into the movie. Basically, if they have a standalone movie coming out, they're going to be in Infinity War. But I wouldn't bet on too many extraneous ones coming out, because honestly, that's a lot of balls to juggle. And then they had the movies that come in between that. You have you have Captain Marvel and Black Panther and all those disparate movies happening between the Infinity War movies. So that's ostensibly more people you're going to add to the second half.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What I'm trying to say is I would hate to be the Russo brothers right about now.
Well, that I can see. The side movies. Like you said, Captain Marvel, and then Doctor Strange, Black Panther, and then Infinity War is going to be in two parts also. So I can see half the superheroes in part one and the other half in part two, or uh, and there's it. It's just so much going on. I mean,
There's a
it's
lot of stuff going on, yeah.
yeah. Hopefully it just doesn't get confusing as it's going on.
Yeah, and I think Infinity War, for better or worse, is going to be kind of the stress test for people's I don't want to say tolerance, but people's ability to follow everything at once, because there is so much going on. There is so much baggage, so to speak, with everything that's going on, and it's man, it's gonna be a test. And they're filming it back to back, and yeah, it's just a lot. But I can't wait to see again this is how excited we are about something. We're passionate about it, and just I can't wait to see the trailer. I can't wait to see the inevitable set leaks when they're filming. But I'm okay with that because again, it's something I'm interested in, and this is not the Marvel universe is not as holy to me as the as Star Wars is. Like Star Wars, I'm like, don't show me anything, don't tell me anything, don't show me a photo. Inevitably, I did that to myself anyway. But with Marvel, I'm like, I'm okay with knowing about this. I'm okay with that. I've read this. I kind of know what's going to go on. It's not as they're doing the opposite of Star Wars in that this isn't a fresh story. If you are a comic book reader, it may not go exactly as you're expecting, but you know what's going on. And so so I'm kind of interested before even the movie happens. Just like Ultron, I'm very interested to see how they handle translating all of this. Civil War is obviously going to be different than the cluster that was the original Civil War story because there was a lot of junk in the storytelling. Obviously, that's more streamlined and different, most notably with the X-Men not being in the movie. But it's going to be interesting to see how they translate and handle that. And as someone who's read the comic book stories, I'm very fascinated in seeing how they translate that into a film, just like books. I like seeing like The Martian. It's interesting to see the book version, the movie version. They're different, but they're the same at the same time. Possibly too much with The Martian. It was almost exactly, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Well, you know what though? Don't be too surprised if they throw a big ass surprise right in your face.
But I'm okay with that. Surprise me all the way because again, if you're like we said in previous episodes, if it's the same story in a book as it is in the movie, then it's just an awkward soap opera. They're just regurgitating.
Yeah, that maybe they found a way to hide stuff or something, or hide some little small detail from all of it or anything. I mean, well, look what J.J. Abrams recently pulled out of his hat.
Oh yeah, with 10 Cloverfield Lane, exactly. Yeah, and that's Abrams in top form. No one had. It's been a codenamed movie for a while, but no one had any idea that this was a sequel or pseudo sequel or whatever the hell it is with Cloverfield.
Yeah, I didn't know he was doing a sequel or anybody was doing a sequel. I didn't even know there was an idea of a sequel. I had hoped they would do one. When I first saw Cloverfield, I was thinking, all right, it doesn't look like they destroyed the monster. Mm-hmm. It's got to be a sequel. And never heard
because you don't have any indication that the monster is dead or not. I mean, you have this. The last thing you see in the camera is this kind of you're aware of a very last ditch effort to basically drop a nuke on it, but you have no idea if it succeeded.
Right.
And I remember Abram back in like 2008 or 2009, like real recently after Cloverfield came out, he mentioned that when you see people on the bridge and you see John or whatever his name was holding the camera, you see other people with cameras. And wouldn't it be neat to not do true sequels with the same characters because their story's been told, but have these kind of anthology spin-off kind of films that tell the other people's stories? Oh, and I think 10 Cloverfield Lane is their answer to that, but at the same time, it's different. I mean, you have a absolutely insane-looking John Goodman, which, let's be honest, John Goodman's best roles are when he's a little unhinged.
Yes.
You have Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and then you have some dude. I don't know his name.
Oh.
You have this guy.
Did you see the other trailer that supposedly has to do with this new Cloverfield movie?
I have not. I've seen the official trailer where it's them with the jukebox playing Life and puzzles and all that and kind of reacting to it. I know their website only has no information about the movie, only a poster that shows the let me see where it is. It only shows the poster, and it shows 10 Cloverfield Lane, and it shows it just like the logo at the beginning of it. It shows a house, and it shows this long tunnel that's the L, and it says 10 Cloverfield Lane. But I think it's going to be fantastic because it's John Goodman, like I said, John Goodman being crazy, and the motto, the slogan on the poster says "Monsters come in many forms." So it appears that John Goodman is, and wouldn't it be cool? This is 2016, and the original movie was 2007. Wouldn't it be neat if this is real time with the movie, and it's been 9 years since the initial Cloverfield movie events?
Yeah.
Huh?
Oh, yeah.
And this is, because John Goodman obviously has been kind of a paranoid survivalist for some time. He's got all this shit. He's got people he got from somewhere, and he's holding them somewhere against their will, which is insane. The initial idea that they had was that some woman woke up from a car accident, and John Goodman is holding her in this shack, kind of against her will for some reason, but no one knows why. And that could very well be the story in this too, but it's to keep them safe from the Cloverfield monster or whatever it is, because you see them reacting to whatever it is, to whatever's shaking the shelter. You have them handcuffed to the bed. You have them escaping. You have John Goodman warning them not to open the door because it's like something's gonna be all over them. Are they talking about the Cloverfield monster or the mini monsters from the movie? We just don't know. So it's perfect, like Misery style, crazy guy kidnapping you horror. But then there's like this ominous, omnipresent threat outside too that you don't know is real. You don't know if it's real or fake.
Right. Yeah, that does it. It makes it more intense. It did me. I was like, oh shit, show something, and boom, it didn't show anything, and I was, oh man, I got to see this movie now.
And I think that's what makes the trailer great, because you honestly don't know what Mary Elizabeth Winstead saw, and that makes you want to see it even more. Like, it's connected at least spiritually to Cloverfield, but you have no idea what it is. And wouldn't it be such a tease if that was like the last shot of the movie, and you didn't see the monster at all? It's just John Goodman being crazy, and you have no reason why. You have no idea why.
Oh God, that would drive me crazy.
Especially if they wait 7 years to make another one.
Exactly. Yeah. This link that I put up is it's supposed to be another trailer to the movie. And I don't know, it's kind of weird because it shows like from a camera point of view, because this guy's it's inside a jet that's up in the air already, a passenger, and I don't know, things just get all hectic and stuff, and you really got to check it out, and tell me what you think. I don't know, I just found it by punching in Cloverfield 2, and that's what came up.
It definitely feels like and this was posted in 2011. It definitely feels like it could be connected to Cloverfield. It's definitely edited. Like, the logo is wrong though. It's interesting because, of course, J.J. Abrams, not everything he makes or wants to make, because Cloverfield was largely a passion project that J.J. Abrams produced with Bad Robot and everybody, and it is a it didn't necessarily do as well. I remember some people got like motion sickness from watching it, because it was kind of like being in a roller coaster. I'm actually weeding through their their Wikipedia right now. There was a big viral promotion by the same guys who did the like the Year Zero or the Bees promotion for Halo 2, that was in charge of doing kind of these viral tie-ins to Cloverfield. Everyone had a personal MySpace page, which gives you a slight clue to the age of the movie. But they also snuck in different videos. The website was weird, where you could go to Slusho, which appears in every J.J. Abrams production. I'm surprised it's not in Star Wars. That implies there's this monster that they created by accident. So I wonder if this is a. Let me see. No. It doesn't mention. It doesn't mention another video, but I wonder if this is part of the viral marketing, that maybe it was like a B-side or something, and someone just said Cloverfield 2 because, of course, marketing places when they always release the unused stuff when they're done. I don't know. I want to know more about this alleged ex Cloverfield 2 trailer. I'll have to dig in, and we'll talk about that next week. It's really interesting with speculative sequels. It's interesting, kind of like the Half-Life 2 and 3 phenomenon. When there's not anything really talked about for a long time, anything and everything that's remotely connected to it is going to be harped on as if it's an official announcement, no matter what. And I wonder if that was the issue with the second trailer, because it is 4 years after the first one. And anybody who was counting on a sequel by that time, because I know I was, by that time it's probably like, oh shit, that's never gonna happen. So I don't know. At the same time, Quarantine 2 also took place in an airplane. I wonder if this is like some spot for Quarantine 2. They just re-edited it. I gotta dig deeper for that. We'll definitely circle back around to that.
I mean, if it's not an official trailer, they sure did do a really good job.
It definitely has a lot of the heart and soul of the original Cloverfield trailers.
Yeah.
You gotta give kudos to the fan-made trailers. That's a fan-made trailer. That is a damn good fan-made trailer. But oh man, found footage. And right after that, you remember they had the Wreck movies in Spanish or in Spain. And then Paranormal Activity just kind of ran it into the ground. But man, I remember when found footage was like everywhere. Then he had Super 8, that was like which was another Abrams production, which was another Abrams monster movie production at that, which was a hybrid of found footage and traditional movie making. So I wonder if 10 Cloverfield Lane is kind of going to be a spiritual sequel to that style of filmmaking, or if they're just like, no, we're just gonna do this normal movie. I know, it's interesting.
They should go ahead and just make it a normal movie.
I think they should. I think the even the Wreck movies in Spain, which was about a zombie possession monster thing, the storyline's kind of convoluted. It made 4 movies, and it originally got very well known for being a found footage type movie for the first and second one. And then the third one, they kind of got away from that, and then the fourth one, they absolutely got away from it. They realized that there's only so much you can tell with a handy cam.
Yeah.
There's only so many ways to conveniently have a handy cam in everybody's face when something needs to happen. So, it's a wise storytelling move to not do that, and I'm okay with that. Something I'm not okay with, though, that we haven't talked about yet is, of course, last week has been kind of awful for has kind of been awful for pop culture and the nerd kingdom in general, with the passings of David Bowie and Alan Rickman, who both passed away from cancer at 69. Thanks, Illuminati. Both passed away with that, but they both had massive influences on pop culture and also kind of geek culture in general. Of course, Alan Rickman, everyone knows him from playing Snape in Harry Potter, and pardon me, and also for playing the first big bad in Die Hard, as well as playing anything and everything in between. He had an absolutely amazing career, especially for anything pop culture related. He was always he was all he made almost everything he did very iconic.
Well, and then he was in Galaxy Quest too.
Galaxy Quest, yeah, I was about to
He
say.
was in the even in the movie that was Galaxy Quest was ahead of its time as far as its of nerd culture and everything. I really feel like that movie was brought out at the wrong time, because now I could see that movie just obliterating things, just story wise.
How many movies?
What?
Yeah. Maybe. Um, my internet pops up. It's like, yeah, we're orange. But yeah, Galaxy Quest was very much ahead of its time. It's kind of like it's kind of like almost everything that happened in the '90s, right? Like, imagine Fifth Element if it had been produced with modern day technology. Might have been something lost in translation in that, because I think Fifth Element kind of embraced that. But Galaxy Quest, man, it was begging to have an actual budget and an actual special effects team attached to it that was much better than what it had at the time.
So I'm a sad panda for many, and of course he was the voice of God in Dogma.
He was Marvin, the paranoid / chronically depressed android in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. He wasn't the first one to voice Marvin, but because he was on the widest release with Mos Def and Martin Freeman and Zooey Deschanel and yada 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 yada, he's definitely the most iconic. He comes out as a droid, and the first words he says is, "I'll have you know, I'm feeling very depressed." Just fantastic. Just Alan Rickman embraced every single thing he did, and he wasn't afraid to make fun of himself either. You know, he's known for having a very peculiar way of talking. Page 394. Actually, that's too fast for the way he talked as Snape. But he wasn't afraid to make fun of himself. You know, he was on, I think it was Jimmy Kimmel, and he was like inhaling helium and talking to Jimmy Kimmel like that as Snape, but doing helium.
Oh yeah.
And it's a rare, and he would always walk. He was a very methodical actor. He would walk around in character when he wasn't being filmed, for like the Potter movies and everything else. Just very methodical. You know, he was great on stage too. Very methodical. And I think in a really touching tribute, with everybody with the connection he made as Snape in Harry Potter, Platform 9 3/4 in London, and then Snape's potions classroom at a Harry Potter World in Florida have been made into these shrines to Alan Rickman. People have been putting lilies, all kinds of things, in front of those, in tribute and paying respect to Alan Rickman, and also to Snape in a lot of ways too.
Well, and he was just a beautiful human being too. I mean,
definitely.
Just all the work Ian McKellen had posted something. He was one of the first, not the first, but one of the first big British actor crossovers, because of his portrayal of Hans Gruber. I mean, he was pretty well known in the 90s. And he was in a movie called Rasputin. You remember that? Had Ian McKellen in it, and so
I don't think I've seen this.
Yeah, no, oh yeah. Hold on, let me grab a Rasputin.
Sounds like I need to see this. That's not the one where where Alan Rickman plays the hitman, is it? I remember there was one, and he played like a hitman, and I remember the opening. He was like trying to cut somebody's finger off, and it shows him using various tools, and finally he pulls out like a meat cleaver and chops his entire hand off.
I'm not sure.
Not sure which one that is.
I just know. Hold on. Where is? I'm trying to remember what character he plays. Cast. Yeah, Alan Rickman was Rasputin.
Okay.
And so Ian McKellen was Nicholas II. And
okay, so like the literal Rasputin.
Yeah, like.
So it's not the same movie.
Yeah, no, literally, it was called Rasputin, Dark Servant of Destiny.
Okay.
But Ian McKellen was in it, and I mean, it's unfathomable to think about this, but it wasn't well known at the time, and so there were two things that Ian McKellen said about filming that movie with Alan Rickman. And the first one was, as soon as Alan Rickman found out that the Russian crew was not being fed as well as they were, he had that changed. He was like, no, this is being changed. So when he found out the crew wasn't being treated well, he stood up for the crew. And apparently this director, whoever this guy was, I might have to relook at this, starts yelling at Ian McKellen and was just being really hard on Ian McKellen. I'm just sitting here like, freaking Ian McKellen. Apparently, Alan Rickman came up to the director and started just voicing off all the amazing performances Ian McKellen had done on stage. Like, all of these great pieces he had done, everything, and basically saying, who are you to yell at Ian McKellen?
Yeah, exactly.
And so that was what Ian McKellen had shared on his Facebook the other day. And I was like, oh.
That's fantastic, though. That really says a lot about the character, about the character of the person when they're standing up for people. That, if it was, I don't want to rag on any actor, but if it was someone else, that would have been like, well, that's their problem. I'm not going to get involved. I'm just here to do my thing, and you're SOL.
Yeah.
So that's an absolutely amazing thing, and I'd heard that earlier, and I was trying to figure out what movie they were in together.
Yeah, it was Rasputin.
Okay. Absolutely great. And then Bowie, Bowie needs absolutely no introduction at all. And it's really hard to pinpoint where his obviously music, but it's really hard to pinpoint where his greatest achievements otherwise went to. He was anywhere he was anywhere and everywhere in pop culture. He influenced sharing royalties with people. He, in the 90s, he let people buy like shares of his past royalties. He's always been very involved in pop culture and kind of pushing forward art and everything else, and he's really made a huge influence. And in especially movies with Labyrinth and comic books, I like how ever since Sandman, every time you need Lucifer in a comic book, you base it on Bowie. Including most recently Wicked and Divine, where it had a female Lucifer and she was still based on Bowie.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, how many people can say that, right?
Oh
man. But yeah, both just very amazing people, and just absolutely awful week. And hopefully, and Grizzly Adams passed away too, the guy who played him, which means I've got to step up to that plate. I remember when I was initially growing my facial hair out, everyone's like, "Oh, if you don't stop, you'll look like Grizzly Adams."
Well,
so now there's a void that must be filled.
Well, and Brian Bedford died. He was the voice.
Oh yeah.
And then Celine Dion, bless her heart, she lost her husband and her brother this week.
Both. Oh my goodness.
Both to cancer.
Yeah, very sad.
Everybody has died of cancer this week. Just like absolutely fuck cancer.
Yeah.
It's just been. Yeah, it's an awful week.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah. It's not fun. It is not. There's not fun ways to lose people. Don't get it twisted, y'all.
Right.
Even though it's the internet, so you never know. but cancer is an awful thing.
Yeah. And out of all those people, I met Dan Haggerty a long time ago when I was a boy.
Really?
Yes, at the drag races. I was talking about
drag races.
The drag races. He had his own dragster.
Nice.
He had just started that year, and he was in Bakersfield, and we were there. We just so happened to be there that day, and we ran into him and stuff. And one of my uncles got his autographed, and we talked a little bit. I was looking way up at him and stuff, and Yeah, it was nice. So that's a good memory I have.
Like of all of the things.
Yeah, yeah, because I used to love watching his show, and then then at that when that time came up, finally got to meet him and stuff. That was cool.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. It's so hard to get a moment to people you love nowadays, and that's all. It's always cool whenever you run into somebody like that, because it's never where you expect to have it happen.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
I
that's great.
Yeah, I didn't expect that to happen. I love drag racing, and I met. I saw a lot of the famous racers and met a few of them and this and that, but I didn't
Hmm.
expect a well-known actor and stuff. So that was
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. I mean, maybe if it was like Steve McQueen or something, you'd be like, it's Steve McQueen on the racetrack. Let's say, totally expected that. But yeah, that's amazing.
Oh man, it's just been a horrible, rough week.
Yeah, it's been a week.
I'm done. I'm so done.
Yeah, yeah, and hopefully it gets better. But yeah, hopefully it does. I think the worst part about this is another rant alert. I think the worst part about this was looking at various nerd groups, if you will, online, and people were walking around going, "Why can't it be, insert celebrity here?" It's like, dude, no, no, don't wish death on somebody else. I mean, you may want it to be, somebody else, but it doesn't, it does not. That's not the way it should work.
That's such in bad taste. I mean, well, and especially, I mean, if you think about it, if either of the two biggies, I mean, obviously Bowie and Rickman are definitely the two heavy hitters this week as far as being passed away. Neither of them would have been happy with that statement.
Yeah, exactly.
Neither of them would, they seem like they would be the type of people who would have been like, I'm just an old guy. I've had a good life. Type people.
Hmm.
That's just so unfortunate that the internet has to go down that direction.
Has to be that. Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. Ugh. Well, it's like them coming after Emma Watson. Did you hear about that?
No. For for
Yeah.
for
For
talking about Alan Rickman or
Alan Rickman, because
no.
she ended up on her Twitter when everybody was putting their moment, what do you want to say, memorials up. She put
Hmm.
up a quote he had said for her She for He campaign.
Hmm.
So she posted something that was based with her campaign. So it was something that he had helped her with her campaign. And so everybody started going to town on her that she was utilizing the situation to forward her.
Grandstanding on this horrible event.
Yes. Even though he was a huge supporter of the campaign, and that's arguably, I mean, yeah, they worked on Harry Potter together, but his contributions to her campaign are arguably more important to her than the
Hmm.
time we spent on Harry Potter.
Yeah, exactly. Because the Harry Potter movies, they were put together basically on happenstance, basically at the whims of a casting director. Basically, it could have been anybody doing either of those roles, but it wasn't. And obviously, when it's something like a campaign, like Emma Watson is doing or anybody's doing, it's you put more of yourself into it because it's something that you created, that you care about, that you're passionate about. So obviously, that is going to get more feels than, yeah, I worked with this guy in a movie. Not that discounts what the relationship you may have with somebody, but in her circumstance, like, I can completely understand why it would mean more.
Yeah. And so I thought they were just being extra critical on Emma. It's just like I don't know. I mean, you can say a female thing or whatnot, but I'm not sure what it is. But we seem to be hypercritical of female actresses, excuse me, screwing up. Like that Jennifer Lawrence
Hmm.
video that popped out where she was obviously joking with the reporter about the phone, but everybody took it as she was just being an asshole.
Yeah.
And it just is like, dude, You don't. I remember when Justin Bieber got caught peeing in that washer bucket. Nobody cared. No one gave two.
Well, it is Justin Bieber.
I know it's Justin Bieber, but still, I don't understand why Justin Bieber can pull off, or like Ariana Grande licking that donut. I mean, seriously, how can people get away with that? And then you get upset with Jennifer Lawrence joking about a phone, or it's because they want to see those people fall. That's my opinion.
Yeah. And it's the interwebs. Like there's no such thing as just a casual anything on the internets anymore.
True, very true.
All right. Well, on that unfortunate note, we're going to end this. It's been a heck of a week. We're done playing classes, and I hope to hell I'm over this eye infection. I'll hopefully get a clean bill of health on Tuesday. So I can't even go to the gym or anything right now. I just gotta like stay home. I gotta go to work, and I gotta go home. It's like liberal house arrest right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because if I work, basically if I do anything that's considered unhygienic, I can resurrect this infection, which is something I don't want to do.
Oh no.
Yeah, or resurrect or have a different one, because apparently you can get fungus infection after bacterial, which I don't even want to think about.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So anyway, hopefully I will. I know too much internet for you guys now, right? But hopefully I'll get a clean bill of health Tuesday. I was hoping for tomorrow, but my assigned eye care person is in surgery tomorrow, of all things.
Okay. Well, not
surgery for me.
Yeah. No. I figured on the your luck type standpoint.
Yeah. Definitely.
I'm gonna be working more.
I hope everything's okay with your eye.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it feels a hell of a lot better than it did last week, so that's a plus. I've been wearing these really cool horn-rimmed glasses I've had for years and years, but I haven't. I correct my eyes with Ortho-K. I don't know if I've talked about this on the show or otherwise, where like you sleep in contacts that are molded to your pupils. And while you sleep, it molds your eyes back to whatever shape science says your lenses should be to see perfectly. And I've done that for 3.5 years. So obviously I didn't have a current glasses prescription. So Saturday I had to go and get a hasty glasses prescription. And the only frames I had on hand were these horn-rimmed glasses that I wore to my wedding. And I got those adjusted, and it's weird because I have to like relearn how to wear glasses again because they keep annoying the hell out of me because they feel like they're falling off my face. Wonderful times, and then I can't just wear any sunglasses, so I've got a pair on order from Morby Parker, name drop, who is they should be here on Wednesday, so hopefully I can see without having to blind myself driving to work anymore. But yeah, it's been an interesting week, and when I say interesting, I really mean I don't ever want to do this again.
Ever? No, I don't.
Ever.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, definitely. I don't wish this on anybody, but basically, guys, for one, don't sleep in your contacts, and for another, if you do, make sure you're hydrated, because apparently, what I did was I slept. I blame my grandmother because I slept in her house when I was sick. Over the holidays, and my eyes dried out. And basically, when your eyes dry out and you have contacts on them, they stretch your eyes, and the outer surface of my eyes got torn, and that's what allowed the infection to come in. And yeah, don't sleep in your contacts. It hurts. I just thought I had eye pain from being sick, but apparently I had eye pain from being sick in a different way. So, what did we learn? Don't do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Uncle Robert says, don't sleep in your contacts. So, stay off drugs, do your homework. Well, on that note, we will see you guys in the next podcast next Sunday.
Yes.
All right. Have a good one, yo all.